Your anger is not what is blocking your creativity. Your fear of your anger is what is blocking your creativity. And week 3 of The Artist's Way is all about what to do with your power. Not just your power, but power in general. Julia doesn't define power as this big martial kind of thing, although it feels like that as it is coming up in us and as it is being restored in us. As we gain artist health, anger will pop up everywhere in the places that you least expect it at the times that you don't want it to. Week 1 was about safety. The second one was about identity, but this one is more about remaining in a consistent state of vulnerability. Like, this is about what it looks like to be open and stay open when people want you to be closed. And the driving chemical force behind that, a lot of the times, and by chemical, I don't just mean like the juices in our brain. I mean like the reaction that makes life different, is anger. I know it's been terrifying for me as I've gone through this week, like just having done this for 2 weeks prior. And then doing the morning pages every day has like already started to change my brain quite a bit. And I've had so many things pop up. But she talks a lot about how challenging it is to balance that emerging anger and how healthy it is to have emerging anger. Yeah, it was very much about internal power, like us, the anger and the power that's in us, but also power outside of ourselves with synchronicity, with the way that God will move the world around to fit where you're ready to go, or God will move the pieces in place as you move into place. And what people do with their power when they try to shut you down, when they try to make you smaller, when they try to make you a certain way in order to defend themselves out of fear. But before we get into that, welcome back. My name is Matt. I'm a multi-hyphenate artist and creative living out of Philadelphia, documenting my journey right here on the internet through The Artist's Way. This is our weekly series where we go through chapter by chapter when I do a bit of a check-in at the end. So yeah, the frustrating part about it for me is that the anger is right. Like it's oftentimes in our brains, we conceive anger as the emotion with the least amount of clarity, and that is the most selfish. And Julia frames anger in such a way that makes it seem like the opposite is true. Like anger is the emotion that has the most loyalty to us. Like, this is what I actually want. Forget about what I think I want, or forget about what I'm saying I want. This is what I actually want, because anger is the emotion of justification. And this is about me. Like, this is about me. Like the clarity is that, like, this is the truth, or this is what I think the truth is. And this is what I'm looking for myself. Most other emotions hide behind that. In fact, oftentimes when we are angry, it is like the umbrella emotion that we hide our more vulnerable emotions behind. And this chapter is very much about staying in that state of vulnerability as an artist, especially when other people around you are reacting to that. Not just the anger piece, but when you do things and when you put things out. Because she speaks a lot about like anger as the chemical fuel to take action, to take movements, to make something happen. But then from there, like almost as a heel flip, it seems kind of weird. In the chapter, she then begins to speak about synchronicity. She then talks about how as you take action in life, life begins to take action for you as well. Synchronicity, as she describes it, is the moments and the instances where you say you are doing something. Like, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a musician, or I want to take acting classes. And then the moment you say that, somebody else that edits appears in your life, or somebody that is an acting coach, if you wanted to take acting classes, just sits right next to you 2 days later. And it's like the puzzle pieces appearing as you say what your shape is. Like, if only I could be connected to this, and then you get connected to that. And what she talked about so much, and I've experienced synchronicity a lot, not just in this week, but in general in my life as an artist. We are oftentimes more afraid of the echo, of the response to the things that we shout about, that there is someone listening, that there is something listening, that God is out there, like, waiting for us, not even out there, but in here, but like waiting for us to just say it, to just do it, so that he can move the world around us in a way that gets us there, or move us towards the world he has waiting for us. And so this one was very, very interesting. Like, I've had instances of synchronicity for sure. Like, in fact, I would have never entered into slam poetry if not for synchronicity, or like the concept of a narrative for me to step into. And it might sound strange, but when I first started getting into poetry, my mother was very much like not into me going out, being around people, performing. And at that time, I was like in my teens. I had just left the track team, and I like, just was like, I want to do something. I want to write. And she was nervous. Philadelphia is not a safe place, but the person that was running the poetry program that I was a part of, his mentor happened to be our neighbor. And so just as I was getting into the poetry program, and just as my mom was about to be like, no, yeah, I think you're done here, I was able to speak to my neighbor, and not knowing that, just like, I think it was like a block party that day. And she was like, oh yeah, like I know this guy, like this guy that's found again. Oh, I used to mentor him. Like, that's A-okay. And I was like, I would love to do this thing. I know nothing about it. And she was like, yeah, just tell your mom that I know the guy. Like, tell your mom that I know, like, just go for it. Just like, and that vouch and that push allowed me to become the person that I am today. If I was not in that program, I would not be the artist that I am. I would not have learned the things that I've learned about public speaking, about being on stage, about performance. I would not have gotten the opportunities that I've had to perform nationally and internationally. I would not have gotten the opportunities that I've had to be who I am as an artist and to take the risks that I have. And that was synchronicity. I couldn't have placed that woman in my life. I could nor would knowing that about her later or earlier have served me, but it did at the right time. And things like that pop up all the time, and we don't even realize them, where it's like just the right things open up at the right time. And so synchronicity in this chapter was very much something that I resonated with. It's something that, like, sometimes people might throw it away to be like, oh yeah, like the brain has like a system in place where it's like, you buy a car and then you start to see other people that buy that car, and like now you see that car everywhere. That's part of it, but not really. It's very much like, and this is part of where people call this book woo-woo. It's very much that outer force, that thing bigger that is there, that the narrative that you are a part of, that you can choose to participate in at any time, that is scary to participate in, because then it's like, am I responsible for what happens? And it's like, yeah, you kind of are responsible for going out into the world and for doing things and for making things happen. And that can be so terrifying. But the thing I'll tell you to do is you just got to answer the call. Like, answer the call. Like, if God is calling you, answer. Like, go and do the thing. Whatever it is you're drawn to do. Oftentimes the thing about synchronicity is that the resources aren't about what you have. It is about what God is offering you. It is about what is outside of you that is for you, that you must speak loud enough to claim, that you must go out and make decisions about. It is about going out and doing the thing again, so that that providence that comes in, that provision that comes in is like, like people will call that luck. Like it's like the same instance where people go, fortune favors the bold, or luck happens to those that make those opportunities. It is that when you are running in that direction, you'll be so surprised how quickly those wide open doors get wide open. And so for me, I've experienced that. That is something I stand by. In the book, it's woo-wee. Julia's woo-wee. It's okay. I'll give it to her. And the back half of this chapter, before I get into my own personal experiences this week, is very much about shame and exposure. And so this whole chapter, the reason why I say it's not about power, it's about vulnerability and remaining open in vulnerability, which is power, by the way, to be honest. She talks the rest of the chapter about shame and criticism, and how when you dig for yourself, you are digging for others. When you look and find things, when you search, when you bring things up, when you document your life through art, other people see themselves in you, and they may not like what they see, not because of you, but because they don't like themselves. And so she talks about how shame is one of the largest stalling forces for artists. It's why you will make a piece that you love and stop in the middle because you go, this is kind of whack, or this is kind of this, right? Or you'll make something that you're so proud of, and a critic will come in and say something terrible about it, or say something that lets you know they don't know anything about what you have made. They weren't paying attention to what you made. They weren't listening to what you made. It is that shame piece. Like, people shame artists because they want to keep them under control. People shame artists because they are afraid of themselves. Artists are not afraid of themselves, or learn to become comfortable with themselves. And a lot of people don't want to become comfortable with themselves, because to do that, you must release control, or you must release the auspice of control in order to find out who you actually are. And so many people have that process done for them by artists, but so many people want to run away from that process. And so they punish artists for looking. They shame artists for wanting to be something and do something and see something in life. And because of that, so many artists sit and die with what they are meant to bring out into the world because of someone else's fear. And the issue there is that with artists, I don't know how many of you have watched Avatar, but a perfect metaphor for this is redirecting lightning. The back half is all about shame, exposure, growth, and criticism. But personally, the way that I see it as an artist, you have to be able to redirect lightning as it comes. The grand thing about lightning as it comes to strike you is that you're supposed to let it pass through you, enter in through to the body, take it, never let it consume your heart, and pass back out and point it at your purpose. Point it at what it is you want it to do. In that way, criticism becomes one of the most powerful things that an artist can experience. Shame becomes one of the most powerful things that can be put on an artist, because then when you take it out from the world, you let it pass through, but not like through the most important parts, and you redirect it out, you're able to make things that are more refined. Right? Because there might be truth in the criticism and there might be truth in the shame. This is why I think if you are following along, please get the book, please go, because I'm not going super duper in depth. She goes over how to go through criticism. She goes over how to deal with shaming. And much of it is about just treating yourself good and taking the notes that they've been given. But that process allows you to have an even more refined sense of what you're making, and an even more powerful art form. Because if you can take criticism and you can point it back out, and by pointing it back out, it's not like saying, oh, fuck you, buddy. No, I'm not your guy, buddy. If you can point it back out, it's not about, when I say point it back out, it's not about saying, F whoever said this or F whoever said that. Although she does say writing a letter, they're not sending it is nice. It's more about taking it, digesting what is good about it, and then leaving the rest. And treating yourself kindly as you are digesting those things, treating yourself kindly as you process those things and take in that criticism. Because it is hard. It is hard. But yeah, this chapter very much was about vulnerability and remaining vulnerable when people want you to be closed, when people want you to be silent. And I'm curious to hear in the comments, for those going along with me, what has this week been like for you? Or what is your relationship to anger and creativity been up until now? Has it been something that has pushed you further away from making something or closer to? And before we get into the check-in, if you're liking this video so far, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe for the algorithm. Thank you. All right, cool. Just check-in wise for me this week, I experienced so much. I experienced so much this week in regard to a lot of things that were brought up. This week was very much about let me actually pull it out. But yeah, this week was about looking at habits and traits. And it was more of the reparenting stuff, looking at how we were as a child, thinking about childhood accomplishments, all about what we did, when we took action as children and what that was like for us. And also about on the back end, things that nurture us and people that nurture us. She was call somebody that sees you as the artist that you are. And then, was talking about the inner compass. She said, go out, walk around, which is great. There was a practice where she was list out 5 people that you admire, that you secretly admire, and then compare 2 sets of lists, and then just look at what you actually value. I found it so interesting. I did miss my morning page once. There was one day this week that was so hectic and chaotic for me that I had to get up and go. I couldn't even sit with it. As soon as I woke up, there was something for me to deal with. There was stuff going on with my car. It was just a long day. It was a very long day. But I don't know, that day sucked. But and the rest of the time I made it. Even if I didn't do it right when I woke up, I still went and did my artist pages, which is great. Synchronicity wise, I did experience synchronicity this week, actually. I did, which was so fascinating. Just long story short, at this point in time, I have a project that I've been working on for 2 years. It was a year and some change, but almost 2 years at this point. It's post just this really bad relationship that I was in. And I finished it. I've been shopping it around to friends, just to get opinions and feedback and criticism, to be hey, do you like this? Do you not like this? What works? What doesn't work? And one of the people that I sent it to, they were I really love this song. Part of what originally happened was that I had lost my old laptop, which had all of my music on it. It had years worth of my stuff from the pandemic. I lost it, and I moved all the stuff onto a flash drive or a hard drive, and I had it open it and peck through it. But so one of the ways that he'd asked me the question just made me pick through that a hard drive. He didn't even ask about the hard drive, but I picked through it and I saw like, oh, like all of my old stuff is still here. Like I thought it'd be so much harder to access. Like I knew it was safe, but like all the old beats, all the old music. And I was like, oh, like it's been here the whole time, man. Like, which is great. But in working on the project, so many things have just been popping up for me internally that have caused me to just look at myself like as I'm growing, because it's like I'm not as connected to the stuff because I'm already over all the stuff that had happened during that time for the most part. And now it's just about me getting stuff out and putting stuff out and getting the show on the road as an artist. Like I already want to make new music about different stuff. But this week kind of just brought to the forefront so much of what drew me to that relationship in the first place, was I think was just frustration and struggle around self-starting. Like just do it for yourself. Forget about what other people want for you. Don't be gravitated towards people that think only of themselves. Think for yourself. Go out and make things happen. And because I felt robbed of the opportunity to do that, I circle myself around people that wanted that from me, wanted my energy from me. And and looking at the project and looking at how things have been, I now deeply desire to be that for myself. Not in like I want to be the exact same way, because that it was very unhealthy, but like more like one of the main things that I've experienced this week that makes me so happy that I've started this, but also that I've been doing all the work that I've been doing this year and just over the past 2-3 years, is like in me when I'm angry, some of it is criticism and other parts of it is just like I just want to win. Like I want to win. I want to get ahead for myself. I want my life to look good. I want to get the house that I want. I want to make the music that I want. I want to be able to go out and live life. I want to be able to do things for myself and my partner. I want to be able to go and make life look the way that I want it to look. And I have not that I haven't had the instinct before, but shame has consumed so much of that energy. I've been told inherently I should push that outward towards other people. And yeah, like getting more of that voice back on my side has been good. I'm really interested to see what that's going to look like moving forward. But yeah, that was like a major thing for me this week. It hasn't just started this week, but like I've noticed it a lot more, especially because we're talking about a sense of power. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear what things have been like for you guys if you've been going along. Next week is all about reclaiming a sense of integrity, which I'm interested in. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. But like, I'm really interested to see where things go. And that one's going to be over here. Thank you.